Alright, so if you're the kind of player who lives for that moment when you crest a hill and discover a completely new area, or if you're someone who just can't resist checking every corner of the map for hidden secrets, then you need to hear about what's coming. We're talking about some of the most anticipated exploration-heavy games on the horizon, and honestly, this lineup is absolutely stacked. From legendary franchises making their return to brand new IPs that are looking to shake things up, there's a lot to get excited about here. So let's dive into what makes these games special and why exploration fans should be keeping these titles on their radar. The Witcher 4 is bringing Ciri to center stage, and if you've played The Witcher 3, you already know what that means. CD Projekt Red has basically perfected the art of making open worlds that actually feel alive. You know, where every point of interest isn't just a generic copy-paste job, but actually has something interesting going on. The Witcher 3. Wild Hunt is still, even after all these years, the gold standard for open-world RPGs. It's that game where you're riding to do a main quest, and then you see something weird off in the distance, and 3 hours later you're deep into some random side quest about a haunted lighthouse or whatever, and you've completely forgotten what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. The Witcher 4 is aiming to capture that exact same magic, but they're pushing it even further with better visuals, more reactive NPCs, and a world design that promises dynamic events and encounters that'll keep you guessing. Ciri's taking the lead role this time, which is a massive shift for the series, and the concept vision they've shown already looks incredible. Now, let's talk about the Dusk Bloods, which is the next game from Hidetaka Miyazaki, and FromSoftware. And if that name doesn't immediately get your attention, I don't know what will. This is the studio behind Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. Like, they basically wrote the book on interconnected world design and rewarding exploration. The Dusk Bloods is described as a multiplayer-focused experience, but here's what's interesting. It's supposed to give you way more freedom to explore than something like Elden Ring Night Rain, meaning you're not going to be rushed through the world. You can actually take your time and soak it all in. And they've already teased some unique traversal abilities for the characters, which could open up some really cool vertical exploration options. Think about how FromSoftware designs their worlds, right, where you're constantly looping back to earlier areas and discovering new pathways. Now imagine that with Victorian-era aesthetics and new movement mechanics. It's easily one of the most intriguing announcements for 2026. The only catch, and this is kind of a bummer, is that the Dusk Bloods is currently looking like a Switch 2 exclusive. So there's a very real chance it might never come to other platforms, but we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. Crimson Desert is up next, and this one's giving major Witcher 3 vibes, which honestly isn't a bad thing at all. This is shaping up to be the next big medieval action RPG that we rarely get these days, and it's promising hundreds of hours of gameplay across this massive continent called Pywell. What's cool about Crimson Desert is the variety. You've got diverse biomes, bustling cities, and from what they've shown, some really unique locations that don't feel like your typical fantasy settings. The focus here is on freedom and fast-paced action, with the world absolutely packed with activities, collectibles, and stories to discover. And for those of you who love a good boss fight, Crimson Desert has you covered. Fierce bosses are lurking around every corner, ready to test your skills and drop some valuable rewards for Cliff and his companions. It's set to release March 19th, 2026, so that's actually not too far away. The Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, do I even need to say anything? We've been waiting for this game for what feels like an eternity at this point. The setting hasn't even been officially confirmed yet, and honestly, it might be too early to really imagine what it'll look like, but let's be real, this game is going to be massive. Skyrim is still hugely popular, and it continues to outshine even Bethesda's more recent releases. That game came out in 2011, and people are still playing it, still modding it, still discovering new things. That's the power of true freedom in exploration. The Elder Scrolls 6 needs to have that same seamless exploration at its core. Players need to be able to wander off in any direction and find something interesting, you know, that classic Bethesda experience where you're not locked into following quest markers, but actually exploring because you want to. Bethesda knows what fans expect, and hopefully they're taking all the feedback from other titles into account to avoid repeating past mistakes. Because when they get it right, nobody does open world exploration quite like the Elder Scrolls. Gothic Remake is bringing back a classic, and this is exciting for a very specific reason. The original Gothic is beloved for its compact living world, and I want to emphasize that word, compact. Not every great exploration game needs to be a 100-hour epic with a map the size of Texas. Gothic's world is smaller, more focused, but every single location feels handcrafted and meaningful. Every area holds a special place in fans' hearts, and the remake is promising to stay as faithful to the original as possible while bringing it up to modern standards. It would be genuinely refreshing to see an RPG that avoids unnecessary bloat and instead focuses on the quality of its iconic areas, memorable characters, and non-linear quest design. Sometimes less is more, and Gothic Remake could be the perfect reminder of that in today's open-world landscape where bigger doesn't always mean better. Lords of the Fallen 2 is taking things to the next level with its dual-world mechanics. The first Lords of the Fallen from 2023 already had some really strong exploration elements, and since that was one of the most praised aspects of the game, the sequel is doubling down on it. The developers have confirmed that the dual-world mechanics are returning, but with a twist. This time the two realms, Umbral and Axion, are bleeding into each other, which opens up some really exciting possibilities for exploration that you just don't see in other games. If Lords of the Fallen 2 maintains that interconnected world design, the kind that Dark Souls made famous, and pushes the dual world concept even further with more reasons to switch between realms to find hidden pathways, solve puzzles, and discover treasures, then exploration fans are going to absolutely love this. Finally, let's talk about Exodus, which stands out from the mostly medieval fantasy titles we've covered, because this is a sci-fi game, and it's an ambitious one. This is aiming to rival the Mass Effect series with a fresh universe and original lore. Exodus isn't going for that sandbox-style space exploration thing. Instead, it's following more of a Mass Effect Andromeda approach, with large open areas designed for exploration, but with a strong narrative focus driving everything forward. You'll still get that space exploration experience, traveling to multiple unique planets as humanity searches for a new home, but it's going to be structured and story-driven, rather than just aimless wandering. And honestly, for a lot of players, that's the sweet spot. And speaking of Mass Effect, BioWare is working on the next entry in that series too, though they've only shown brief teasers so far. It's way too early to know if it'll be more like Andromeda, more like the original trilogy, or something completely different, but you can bet it's going to deliver on exploration and new worlds to discover. That's just what Mass Effect does. So that's the rundown. 7 massive games, all putting exploration front and center. Whether you're into dark fantasy with FromSoftware, sprawling medieval RPGs, compact worlds with deep storytelling, or sci-fi adventures across the stars, there's something here for every kind of explorer. Let me know in the comments which one you're most excited for, or if there's another exploration-heavy game coming that I didn't mention. Are you Team Witcher, Team FromSoftware, or are you holding out for the Elder Scrolls 6? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest gaming news, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're covering everything as it happens. And I'll catch you in the next one.